This is Discovering the Scriptures with Dr. Peter John Parisis. Currently, we're in Daniel chapter 2, verse 40. Reading from the King James Bible, quote, "And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise," unquote. Now let's read this verse in context. The paragraph starts with Daniel chapter 2 verse 36 and goes all the way down and through Daniel chapter 2 verse 45. I'm going to read it from the King James Bible. Quote, "This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with murrey clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with murrey clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom should not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure," unquote. Now let's look at verse 40 in the Interlinear Bible and get the raw translation. "All, as iron, as strong shall be," and that is imperfect to quell, so it means that it is casual but not completed action yet. Fourth, and the kingdom, and like iron, everything, and shatters, breaks in pieces, iron, inasmuch as, and crush, that kingdom will break in pieces. And in this part, it's just will break in pieces. That kingdom is put in there in front of it, but it's referring to it. These, all, crushes, that. That's the end of the Interlinear Bible, raw translation. Let's move forward now and read this in the Young's literal translation, and that is, quote, "And the fourth kingdom is strong as iron, because that iron is breaking small and making feeble all things, even as iron that is breaking all these, it beateth small and breaketh," unquote. Now let's go ahead and parse out this entire verse and see what we get from the original language. "And the fourth kingdom shall be," let's parse that out. That's the PL imperfect, which is a casual, uncompleted action. So, shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces. Let's do the breaketh in pieces parse. It's an APL participle. So basically, this means that it is a causative conjunction. And then the participle, of course, you can add in to be. So, breaketh in pieces. And subdueth. So let's go ahead and look at that. That's a PL, active participle. So again, it is a casual, but you can put to be, and to be subdueth. So, breaketh in pieces, causative conjunction. And subdueth, casual, all things, and as iron that breaketh, parse that out there. PL participle again, casual to be. That breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces. That's an APL imperfect, which again is a causative conjunction. These will cause all this to be broken pieces, but not completed action yet. And bruise, participle, let's see, that would be PL stem, imperfect aspect, so casual, and yet not accomplished yet. That's the end of this parsing. Now let's find out what we can get out of this, looking at our commentaries to see what more can be pulled out from this verse. Okay. What this verse gets us is it's talking about the legs. Some thinks it could have been Rome. Some thinks it could have been Alexander the Great. But this verse here doesn't give this to us. So I'm refusing to speculate on it. I'm just going to give you the verse. Tell you that later on in chapter 7, it will go into more detail on this. But as of right now, we don't know from the scripture what this is. We can speculate, but it doesn't give it to us plainly. So we're going to have to go forward and see what happens next. And then remember this verse when, and I'll remind you, when we get into chapter 7 to see if we get any more insight on that. But that's what the commentaries are all talking about. Could be Rome, could be Alexander the Great, or could it be... And that's all we know. May God richly bless you in all that you do as you study the scriptures. And again, stay tuned because we're going to get more as we go along in this chapter. And this is very important to us since we're now looking at the end times. God bless.